Good morning. Well, here in Leander, in the Central Texas area, the temperatures have finally gotten consistently in the evenings around 40 to 50 degrees. And I have been waiting and waiting for this to happen so I can plant some bulbs. I have a tray of 25 daffodils, and I have picked a great variety for this area that don't mind our limestone and our incredible heat. Now these will bloom in the early spring, and I have a really nice flower bed, if you can see, all the way down this walkway. And I am also going to put some over on the other side. And we will start out with this one little bulb, and over time this will naturalize and it will spread, multiply, and I will have big clumps that I can share with others or just enjoy through the spring. So I can't wait to get these planted. They really want full sun, at least 6 hours of sun every day. They do not want to be in a poorly drained soil. I am going to make sure that when I put them in 6 inches deep, that I remove any of the rocks, and if I find extra clay soil, I'll add some grit to that. So I think that I have all the conditions ready, and I can't wait to see these pop up in the spring. So let's get planting. So I am not going to show you my messy garage, but out here in the garage I have a refrigerator, which is just such a blessing because it holds all the extra things you need for gatherings and meals. So amongst the leftovers from Thanksgiving and the beer and the extra things you need, I have bulbs. So when these bulbs arrived in October, you have to put them in a refrigerator or a cold garage. Well, our garages in October were 105 degrees, so we couldn't do that here in Central Texas. But because I had this little bit of space, they're just really happy here. So these are tulips. These will go, I usually wait to plant the tulips till January because it's just, the temperatures are just not right yet. They definitely want the soil to be about 30 degrees, but the daffodils could handle 40 to 50 degrees. So I am so happy to have those out. So if you didn't pre-order your bulbs in the summer like I did, don't worry, there are lots of places to get your bulbs. I noticed on Walmart website they have 25 bulbs for daffodils, free shipping, and they were like a variety of bulbs. That looks kind of fun. Call around to your local nurseries, and right now they probably still have quite a few daffodils available, and if they're in a fairly reputable nursery, they will probably be daffodils that'll do well in your area. So you don't have to worry about pre-ordering. I just like to do that in the summer when I'm all depressed because it's so hot. And if you order early from those bulb companies, then you have a much larger variety. So the first thing I've done is I've gathered up a bunch of white rocks, and I'm going to place these white rocks all down this garden bed, kind of in a nice rhythm of flow. I don't want to, just have a long straight line of daffodils. I want to have them interspersed, looking like nature would have put them in here. So I'm going to go and drop the rocks around. I'm going to put 13 on this side, and then I'm going to put the other 12 in a different location, and that way I will not do too much work and make too many holes or put the holes in the wrong places. Okay, so here I go placing the rocks. Got my rocks placed. Now I'm going to pull back my mulch and get started putting them in. Okay, I've pulled the mulch back, and along the way I did find some of my drip hose, and the good thing about that little 4-pronged rake is it doesn't damage the hose, and I can find it before I go in with the shovel and do some real damage, because you hate to have to replace that. So you see, people in other areas of the country, they're able to use a bulb tool that you just push that down in the soft soil and pull out a plug of soil and pop your bulb in. But here in my soil, that is not something that I can do. So I am going to have to use a shovel or my trencher here to get my little holes. And I'm going to try to put 25 holes in and pop these bulbs in as soon as possible. I do not recommend using the drill augers. We just have, in this area, use them in your area if you can. That's wonderful if you can. But in this area, we have so much rock here that I'm afraid you would bust out windows, your glasses, your front teeth. So you really need to use a shovel here. So did you see how I did that? I put the shovel in and I made a hole by pushing the shovel back. I planted the daffodil right here in the dirt, and then I pulled the shovel out and the dirt fell on top of it. So I watched some other people do that on other YouTube videos, and I thought that looked pretty clever. Also, my shovel is probably 10 inches long, and so I kind of feel like this is about 6 inches. So that's what my goal is. I'm using this to kind of measure how far down to go. Very rudimentary, very crude, but it works. Here we go. One down. Deer hate daffodil. They will not eat them, which is just wonderful because you can put daffodils in the front yard, under trees, anywhere you want, and deer will not touch them. I wanted to tell you, when you plant this, you're going to plant it 6 inches deep. Whoops, I dropped it. 6 inches deep, and you're going to plant it pointy end up. This one actually has some roots, so that's pretty easy, but a lot of them don't have any roots, and that's okay. They will make their roots quite quickly. And then I am not fertilizing at all. I know there are lots of people that put some bone meal in or some bulb fertilizer, but according to Color Blends and the American Bulb Association, they say no. Don't let any fertilizer get up against this bulb. So as time goes on and they are flowering, you can put some granular organic fertilizer on the top of the soil and work it in. You can do that in the spring when they're blooming, and in the fall when they're maybe making some new, flowers, when they're beginning to multiply. But that's all you need to do. So that is exactly what I'm going to do. Okay, let's get started making holes and planting these in the ground. So I've got all of this garden bed planted, and because I don't have a lot of soil, this is a raised bed, so we do have, 2 or 3 inches of good soil on top, but some of my holes didn't quite go down 6 inches, and I could feel, I was scraping rock as I was going down. But my hope is that they will spread. They're not going to be bulbs that want to have deep roots, that they just want shallow roots. So there's plenty of soil sideways, there's just not that much space to go down. So some were planted 4 inches, some were planted 6 inches. So we'll see what happens. Also, I found one that was very squishy. And if you find a squishy one, it's no good. You have to just toss it. But so far, only one squishy one out of the 25. I call that a win. So I ordered my daffodils from Color Blends, and they always give you suggestions on other complementary bulbs that you might like to add to your order. And so I thought they suggested that I get something called a blue squill. And I have no idea if they are going to do well here. I'll put a picture of them on the screen. They're a little bulb and they're a smaller blue flower, but they are just absolutely the cutest things on their website. So we'll see if they do any good. So I will be putting some of these all around the left and right of the daffodils. So if they do come up, they will be really pretty with the yellows and the blues. Now I have purchased a variety called Gigantic Star, and by the name, it's going to be a pretty big daffodil, and it's just as yellow as can be. So I think that'll be really pretty. And then if these do well next year, I will get some more colors, maybe some oranges, maybe some whites to add in here. I also have other things growing in here. I have iris, I have daylilies, but they begin to bloom a little bit later. So these daffodils will come up in late February, early March. So I will have just all kinds of color in this strip of garden. Here is a list of daffodils that grow well in Central Texas. And I'll have another video on deadheading. They will be getting some seed pods that I'll show you, and I can put a picture up here. And we usually cut those seed pods off so that the daffodils put more of their energy back into creating more flowers and less energy on seeds. And then also, along with the deadheading, the daffodil will begin to die as it goes through the spring, and the green beautiful leaves will start turning brown, and you might be tempted to just chop that daffodil off because it's not going to look very pretty, but you are not supposed to do that. You're supposed to let all of the daffodil go completely brown, and you can pull off the brown as if you don't like how that looks. But don't chop off any green. You're supposed to let that green turn completely brown, and that puts nutrients back into the bulb for next year. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you get a chance to get in your garden today. It's beautiful out here. Have a great day. Bye-bye.